attention as well in bold and capitals. You can compare this with the subject line, which we will see soon. Let us look at an example of the attention line in an actual letter. As you can see, after the addressee notation comes a standard element, which is the inside address. Please notice that in the inside address given here, the name of the recipient has not been mentioned. Therefore, two spaces after the inside address, we add the attention line, which says, "Attention, Mr. Rohan Kumar, in charge water supply." This is exactly the person to whom this complaint letter has been addressed. As a result, it will directly be sent to Mr. Rohan Kumar, and therefore the action taken in response to this letter will be very prompt. Therefore, we can see the significance of the attention line. After this, we have a standard element, which is the salutation, that is the manner or the convention through which we begin a formal letter. Let us now look at the fourth occasional part of a business letter. The fourth occasional part is the subject line. The subject line is written in order to A. Mention the purpose of the letter at a glance. By at a glance, we mean that the recipient of the letter should not have to read the entire contents or the entire message of the letter in order to understand why the letter has been written. The subject line, which appears in all capitals and bold, should be enough to indicate to the recipient that what this letter is about. This line becomes important because by reading this line, the recipient is able to decide whether this letter requires urgent action or whether it can be read later. Therefore, it helps the recipient of the letter prioritize all the letters that he or she has to read. The second reason why the subject line is used is to indicate where to file the letter. Often, business letters involve serialized correspondences. That is, if there is a project being taken up by two organizations, then there will be a correspondence which will be continued between those two organizations. In such a situation, letters that are relevant to that particular project should be maintained within a separate file which has been made for that project. If the name of the project or the reference number of the letter is clearly mentioned in the subject line, then it becomes very much easy for the person who is maintaining a record of all the letters to file the letter within the relevant file. Therefore, it helps one to locate the letter easily and quickly for future reference. The subject line is also written in all capitals and bold, just like the attention line. The subject line appears either below the salutation or above the salutation and below the attention line. Both the positions of the subject line are perfectly alright. An example is subject, information regarding last week's inspection. Let us look at how the subject line can be used within an actual letter. As you can see, one more element has been added to our letter, and that is the subject line. Here we have used the subject line after the salutation. As you can see, it has been written in bold and capitals. From the previous elements of the letter, we know that this is a complaint letter written by the Residents' Welfare Association to the Water Works Department regarding certain troubles with the water supply that the association or that the colony is facing. Therefore, the subject line very briefly and precisely mentions the reason for writing the letter, and the reason is subject, no water supply on 5th January 2010. As you can see, the problem as well as the date of occurrence of the problem have been clearly mentioned. This will help Mr. Rohan Kumar, who is the recipient of the letter, to take prompt action in response to the complaint that the association has made. After the subject line, we begin with the main body of our letter, which contains the message. In case the person wants to get into further details about the subject of the letter, then reading the message is important. Otherwise, reading the subject line at a glance can also help situate the letter. Let us now look at the next occasional part of a business letter. The fifth part is reference initials. The reference initials are required or are important when the letter is written, signed and prepared by different persons. It often happens in organizations that the chairperson or the head of a department who has to constantly engage in business correspondence with various clients or with different organizations or with different departments within the same organization does not have the required time to write and draft the n number of letters or the excessive number of letters that he or she is required to write. In such a situation, the person is offered help with both preparing and signing a letter. Therefore, in such a situation, a help is provided by one person. The inputs from that one person are taken by another person to draft the actual letter, and finally the letter is signed by a third person who is authorized to produce letters on behalf of the actual sender of the letter. For example, if the chief executive officer, that is the CEO of an organization, who is extremely busy with his or her professional engagements, does not have time to sign the letter even, or is on a tour and therefore cannot sign the required business letters, then another person is appointed as the person authorized to sign letters on his or her behalf. In such a situation, we see that there are three different persons involved in drafting a single business letter. Therefore, the reference initials have to be included in the letter to indicate that this letter has not been prepared by only one person. The reference initials include the initials of the signer, followed by the initials of the writer, followed by the initials of the preparer, that is the person who helps prepare or helps draft the letter. It appears two spaces below the signature block. An example is KSM, that is the initials of the signer, oblique AS, that is the initials of the writer, slash RK, that is the initials of the preparer. However, with the increasing use of emails, it is now possible for a person who is situated anywhere in the globe to easily engage in official correspondence with any given person at any point of time. As we all know, emails are accessible through our mobiles, tablets, laptops, etc., which are devices which we can carry anywhere we go, and therefore it is now no more required for a proxy to sign or draft letters on our behalf. Therefore, as the note in the slide mentions, with the advent of emails and with the increasing use of emails, the use of reference initials has almost become obsolete, that is, it is now no longer used. However, let us look at an example of the use of reference initials in an actual letter. As you can see, as the message ends, we begin with the signature block, which is a standard element. It begins with the complimentary clause such as regards. It then includes the signature block, which has the sign as well as the name and designation of the sender of the letter. And after the name and the designation of the sender, we have the reference initials. Here these initials refer to the preparer of the letter, that is the person who has helped the President Manokaran to draft the given letter. Let us now go to the next occasional part of a business letter. The sixth part is the enclosure notation. The enclosure notation is used to indicate the documents attached with the letter. As we know, with sales letters, there can be pamphlets or handouts that indicate the various features of the product. Therefore, this handout is attached with the sales letter that is sent to the various client base of the product. Also, the enclosures are also used in job application letters. After writing the covering letter to your resume, it is important to indicate that your resume, your academic documents as well as your work experience documents are attached with the letter. In this case, the list of these documents is to be mentioned at the end of the letter, and this list is what is included in the enclosure notation. Similarly, if one is writing a complaint letter for a faulty product, for example, then one must attach the invoice, that is the bill of the product, with the letter for proof of the date and time of purchase of the product or service. Therefore, again, one needs to mention in the enclosure that the invoice or a copy of the invoice has been attached with the letter. The enclosure notation appears one or two lines below the reference initials. The enclosure notation can either be written by using the abbreviation ENCL and a dot, after which you put a colon and then write the title of the document that is attached, or one can write the entire word enclosures and then include a list of the documents that are attached. As you can see, enclosure notation help us check whether all the required documents that were attached with the letter, including the number of pages of each document, has been received by the recipient. Therefore, enclosure notation helps us cross-check, confirm or verify that the letter has been received in proper condition along with all the documents. Let us look at an example of the enclosure notation. As you can see, it appears two lines after the reference initials. It says enclosure 1 and then S, which means that there is one document attached with this particular letter. This document has been mentioned in the message of the letter. This strategy may be used by any writers of business letters. Often the documents that are attached with the letter are mentioned right within the message, that is the body of the letter. Therefore, in this particular letter, the person has written that the signatures of all the members of the colony who have been witness to the problem of the water supply have been put on a paper, and this particular paper has been enclosed with the letter. Therefore, in the enclosure notation, the title of the document has not been written. This is because the title of the document has already been mentioned in the body of the letter. Let us now look at the next occasional part. This is the copy notation. The copy notation is used to indicate recipients of a courtesy copy of the letter. This can be written either by listing the recipients in order of rank. By rank, we mean the hierarchy in a given organization. That is, within any organization, there would be a president, a chief executive officer. Under the chief executive officer, one would have the various heads of various departments. Under the head of each department, there are situated the managers of each department, and under the managers there are the various senior as well as junior employees. Therefore, if a courtesy copy is being sent to people who belong to various ranks, then the list of the people who are recipients of the courtesy copy must be in order of rank in descending order. That is, beginning with the recipient who has the highest position in the organization, moving on to the person who has the lowest position in the organization. However, if, for example, the courtesy copy is being sent to several employees who fall in the same rank, for example, the courtesy copy is being sent to all the managers in a given organization. All the managers belong to the same designation and therefore the same rank. In this situation, the list of recipients of the courtesy copy should be in alphabetical order. The initial CC stand for courtesy copy, C stands for only a copy, and PC stands for photocopy. Either of these initials can be used to mention the copy notation. The copy notation appears after the reference initials or the enclosure notations. Example is CC Charles Matthew, PC Leela Sampson, C Rahul Bhatia, or one can write the entire word copy to and then the name of the recipient of the copy, that is Ben Adams. However, there is one more element to the copy notation which we will find out in the next slide. At certain times, the sender may not intend to inform the recipient that a copy of this letter is also being sent to many other persons. In such a situation, the sender will not mention the courtesy copy at the end of the letter but will mention blind courtesy copy. Blind courtesy copy means that the recipient of the letter is not aware that who all are being sent a copy of this particular letter. Therefore, it is important to note that blind courtesy copy or BCC is a line that will appear only in the letter of the recipient of the blind courtesy copy and not in the copy of the recipient of the actual letter. Please bear this in mind. The blind courtesy copy also follows a similar format. BCC stands for blind courtesy copy, BPC stands for blind photocopy, and BC stands for blind copy. Either of these initials can be used for the copy notation. Let us now look at an example of the copy notation. As you can see, at the end it is written copy chairman water board. Therefore, the recipient of the letter is aware that the chairman of the water board has also been informed about this problem by the residents of the colony. Let us look at the second last occasional part of a business letter. This is the postscript. Postscript refers to an added line or an added thought that is added at the end of the letter. As the name in itself says, post means after and script means some kind of written material. The postscript is added A to add afterthoughts to the letter. Afterthoughts refers to any important point or any important detail that one has forgotten to mention in the message of the letter. Or it can also be used to add a message for emphasis or for personal notes. That is, if there is a message that does not form part of the official message that one is writing to the recipient, one can add it in the personal message. It appears as the last item on the letter, and an example is PS, don't forget to check out the latest range of LED. This is an example of a postscript that can be used in a sales letter. PS stands for postscript. At times, two afterthoughts can be added to a business letter. In this case, the second postscript is titled PPS, that is postscript. Let us now look at an example of the postscript in a letter. At the end, you can see the sender has written PS, please instruct your office to give prior intimation in case of not supplying water on a particular day. Therefore, here we see an example of the use of postscript in a complaint letter. This particular message does not form part of the message of the complaint letter or the body of the letter. This is because this is not a line that is relevant to the complaint that the members of the colony are making.